California, here I come, stories from my life. California, here I come, stories from my life. Hello you all, I'm Diana Brianne. Well, I've tried to start this video about 20 times. And each time the phone rang, then I took the phone off the hook, my husband walked through the video, my kids walked down the stairs, the doors slammed, the cats came through the room. I should have just left it all in, right? And it's all good. So I'm restarting once again. So I usually come on now and then and I tell stories from my life. Now, sometimes they're in order and sometimes they're not, but they're all true stories. And I love to share my stories with you all. And I love to hear your stories as well. I love to hear other people's stories. And so this one is a continuation from last night's story called Summer Love, the cute guy with 100 parking tickets, which was a continuation of the story from the night before. So if you haven't heard it, you might want to go back and listen to it. And so I'm kind of picking up, I'm coming to the end of the year at the university in a Southern-like university. And my mom came and picked me up in her new Pontiac in the 1970s. And she said, hey, you know, you've got the whole summer off. Let's take off for a new adventure. So my mom and I, with our suitcases in the car, take off, not knowing where we are going to go. So we go to Memphis and visit some friends there. And then we head on to New Orleans. But we didn't quite make New Orleans on that trip. But we ended up thinking, well, we'll go to Texas where we have family. But just maybe we'll go to California where we have family out there too. Well, we came to the fork in the road. One way was to Texas and one way was to California. So we really didn't know which way to go. So I prayed, I said, Lord, which way should we go? Should we go left or should we go right? Well, we ended up going right and headed for California. Before I knew it, we were crossing into the border, and I think it was Needles, California, and we stayed at like a Motel 6 type of place with a swimming pool. And I remember sitting out there by the pool on a really hot day with movie star magazines. And I think that was back when Charlie's Angels was around and very new. And I was like, oh, if I could only be a movie star. I had all these amazing dreams. And I believe in having dreams. And so, well, we ended up at a beach town where my aunt lived and her family. But we stayed initially at a little motel and nearby. And I remember watching the show called Alice, where she was a waitress. And I kind of related to that at the time because I had no idea what I was going to do for a career. I was 18 or 19 years old and coming into California and didn't know. And I didn't even know if we were going to stay there or just visit. Well, 2 days later, we ended up renting an apartment. And it was a nice apartment, 1 bedroom, and it had a swimming pool. My mom wasn't going to live there. She was just going to stay for a little while. But I had no job, didn't know if I was going to go to school, had no idea. So I did get a job as a secretary, even though I didn't have secretarial skills. And so I worked at that for a little bit. And then I went and I took, at the suggestion of a lady that I had met, I had went to a nursing school and applied and took all the tests. But I realized I couldn't afford to go to nursing school, so I kind of just said, forget that, I'm not going to do that. And I sat down on my bedroom floor in the apartment, and I said, God, I've done everything I could. I took all the tests, filled out all the applications, and if you want me to go to nursing school, you'll have to make it happen. Well, I started looking for another job. I went to Newport Beach, and while I was gone, my mom got the phone call from the nursing school, and they asked why I had not returned, that I had done excellent on the testing. My mom said, well, she doesn't have the money to go, and it's a lot of money. And they said, well, you know what? We have a program. We'll put her on, and we'll pay for all of her living expenses and pay for her tuition and her books. What a miracle. My prayers were answered. And so away I went to nursing school about an hour away from where I lived. And so I had to buy a car because my mom was leaving with her car. And so I had to have a car. And so we bought this $450 blue Mazda, what was actually red, and I paid $25 to have it painted, which did not look so good. Had no radio and no air conditioning, and it was just a basic car that got me from point A to point B. It didn't look very good. And so when I went to nursing school, while I was at nursing school, I met this manly woman. And she was married to another manly woman back when it wasn't acceptable. And so we became friends, and she said, well, you could ride with me. I live nearby. So she would pick me up in what I called the Man-mobile. It was like a 1964, 65 huge Chrysler. And away we would roar down the road to nursing school each day, and in her manly car. But along the way, we picked up another student who had some phobias, and he couldn't stand the freeway. So every time we got on the freeway, he would scream something like, let's get off, I'm gonna puke, I'm gonna puke. And we had to give him a bag because he would throw up, and he just couldn't stand the traffic. And so, you know, every day that went on with him, and every day she would pick me up in the man car, and we would stop at a restaurant and get coffee in the morning, and people thought I was her girlfriend. And her wife actually got a little bit jealous. And it was fun. It was wonderful. She was wonderful. And so we all went to nursing school, and that was a very interesting time of my life, and it opened up a lot of amazing doors for me. Fast forward a few years, I ended up getting a job in LA at an amazing place, and that in itself opened up many, many doors for me. And that's another video, a whole bunch of other videos called Young Doctor in Love, where I fell madly in love with a young doctor, and he fell madly in love with me. And then the mansion, the famous mansion that I got to go to, and then the 4 famous brothers, and the movie star, and so many other wonderful, amazing stories to add to this story. So this is kind of the foundation for other stories to be told. And so I hope you stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed my story tonight about how I got into nursing school, the manly car, the manly woman, and the guy with all the phobias. And then there was me, 18, 19, 20-year-old me going to nursing school. So may God bless you. Enjoy the stories from your life, and I hope you enjoy the stories from my life. Have a wonderful night. May God bless you, and I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.